Okay, well, we are not doing well. I kind of wish I had bought 99 potions before coming here. But I was like, nah, I'll be fine. I'm gonna have to, like, make sure I just spam heal in all these fights until I get back to a pretty comfortable spot. Oh, God. It's the Bad Man crew. The Bad Men. Critical hit terminated. Also the beast of Bad Man. Oh man, I actually like have to get a crit in order to one-shot him. Yeah, I kind of miss the old tactical games. Maybe when I'm done with Advance Wars, I'll try my hand at some of the other old tactical games. That'd be fun. I mean, those are different than Advance Wars. Advance Wars is turn-based. Red Alert was real-time strategy. But yeah, I grew up on a lot of those games. I grew up on Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge. I grew up on Tiberian Wars. What else? I had Army Men RTS on GameCube. We've played that before on stream. That game is amazing. I played Dune at one point, Dune 2000. That game is epic. See you, Dan Khan. Have a good weekend, dude. Alright, we're getting closer to a comfortable spot again. Just keep spamming these heal items. I actually didn't like the original Red Alert as much, probably because I grew up with Red Alert 2, so I was just used to it. But Red Alert 1 was a bit too, like, I don't know, something about it. I liked 2 better. The 1 was fun still, I just didn't play that one as much. I still have the big collection of Command & Conquer games, like the gold collection or whatever, on CD. And I played Red Alert 2, Red Alert 2 Yuri's Revenge, and Tiberian Wars the most out of all the games that were in that collection. Those were my go-tos. Oh my god, a 1 gigahertz processor? Better call NASA. We're gonna need a supercomputer. We're gonna need more RAM. We're gonna have to daisy chain 3 computers together in order to play that. That's too much. We need more power. Man, yeah, I hate laptops. I really do. Laptops are the worst. Like, if you're in a position where you need a laptop, then laptops are, you know, it's a necessary evil, but, man, I've hated every laptop I've ever owned. They're just, it's, I don't know about laptops now, but laptops when I was in college were so much money in comparison to what you got. Like, they were so weak and so flimsy. Oh, this is scary. Phantom! He looks pretty spooked. Time stopped. Oh god, that hits everyone? Okay. Like, I went through so many laptops, and whenever anything breaks on a laptop, the whole thing is just useless. Like, and they're so expensive and fragile and so much weaker than regular PCs, and they can only do so much. And I'll never forget building my first desktop, which is still this computer. And I was just, like, stunned at how much more I could get out of it for cheaper. Just because it was a laptop and I was building, or a desktop and I was building it myself. I was like, all this money I wasted on laptops, and I could have built this thing for half the price, and it does so much more, and I can upgrade it in the future. And I have. It's still the same computer. I've just upgraded it over time. Zap! Oh my god, I got exiled to the 4th dimension. Oh no. Terminated. Well, F in the chat. Wow, 1 goal. F in the chat for Braun. He got sent to the 4th dimension. You hate to see that. Yeah, I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. Gotta do what you gotta do. In college, I had to have a laptop. I had no choice, but please don't make me fight the Phantom again. I have a feeling if I step down there, it's gonna... Oh my god, so much money. What's the point? Can I even leave? I probably can leave, but... There's a stone plate on the floor. You sense something evil? So, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the loot that we got from the princess at the very beginning of the game. Can you miss that loot? Like, I've always wondered, if you don't talk to that princess, which nothing tells you you have to, she's just standing there. But if you don't talk to her, you don't get it. And then what, you just get here and you're, like, stuck? That's pretty hilarious. Because she's the first, one of the first NPCs you see. Hey, good to have you here, Ace. Thanks so much for coming. Right, like, you can't miss it completely. You can always go back and grab it, but I always thought it was funny, like, you pick that up right at the beginning, and then you don't use it till now, and if you didn't grab it, then you're just kind of like, well, what do I do now? You'd have to think to go back to the very first area and just talk to everyone. Yeah, the other thing, about laptops now is that you can get, like, Chromebooks. Chromebooks are like... I almost... You're all good, Doctor. Don't worry about it. I almost feel like Chromebooks are like throwaway PCs in a way. I know that sounds weird, but like for me, a Chromebook would have made a lot of sense in college. Because I didn't want to have to buy a laptop. I hated laptops. But I needed one for school. So if I could have like bought a really cheap Chromebook that was total garbage, and I knew it was total garbage, but, you know, just to get through college and save my money for an actual computer, I would have been pretty happy. But back then I didn't have that option. It was I had to spend a lot of money on a good laptop, because a bad laptop would have been slow and wouldn't have really worked. Chromebooks are at least fast, it's just they're garbage. I had to buy a laptop because I had to bring in computer. I had to bring in a computer. Yo, Azuki with the 11 months. Welcome back, dude. Good to see you. How you been? It's been a minute. No, I didn't live on campus. I lived like 10, 15 minutes away from campus. So, laptop was kind of necessary. Once I transferred to, what staircase did I come from? Was it this one? I think it was. Nope. Once I transferred to communication school, I probably could have gotten away with a really big notebook and called it a day, but when I started college, I was in computer science, so I needed one. What would be a good PC build for a gaming setup? I mean, it kind of depends. We talk about that kind of stuff a lot on our Discord. Like, we have a couple people that are really good with that kind of stuff. If you want to post it in our Discord, people will help you out, pick out parts and stuff. Yeah, I would just ask the Discord. I don't want to give you false information or outdated information, because I haven't built my I built my computer a while ago, so. It's good to have you back, Kazuki. I'm glad things are going well, man. Is it? Maybe we did come from this way. Oh, God. Just get me out. Get me out. Are we back? We're back at the start. How did this happen when I played the thing? Wow, this dungeon is confusing. We're back at the start of the dungeon, but I went down that staircase, like, by playing the loot, so how did I end up here?
What am I gonna do?
That's how I feel. Thanks for the 101 star. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things I could say, like, don't skimp on the motherboard for sure. That's probably the best advice I could give you. The other advice I'd give you is to build it yourself, because it's not as hard as it sounds, and it'll save you a lot of money. And you'll understand a lot more about your computer, so when it breaks, you'll know what's wrong with it, and then you can fix it without giving it over to someone that's going to ask for $1 bajillion to stick your RAM back in. Because that's the way, you know, when I used to have a computer back in the day, I just bought it from Best Buy and then had no idea how computers worked. So then when it broke, I had to give it to some guy who was like, yeah, you know, $100 to look at it, and then he'd open it up and take the RAM out and put it back in and be like, fixed. Mizuki, thank you for the $5, dude. No, I would never do PC tutorials. No, I'm not a PC guy at all. I built my computer, like, just by following the motherboard instructions. I'm not... Me making PC tutorials would be like if you bought a bookshelf off of IKEA and built the bookshelf, and then did, like, workshop tutorials because you built a bookshelf. Like, that's not... I don't know anything about computers. I just know what I know, but I'm not a PC guy. Like, yeah, I followed the instructions. I'm a bookshelf master. I miss you too, Azuki. It's good to have you back, man. I'm somewhat of a wizard myself. I've built a couple bookshelves. I've put together my son's playset. I used to build Hot Wheels tracks. Basically the MacGyver of my time. This stream is sponsored by Fisher Price. I really need to start finding my way because I'm running out of things to use. But I am hopelessly lost at the moment. But yeah, my actual advice, like if you're building a computer, is just spend the most money on the motherboard, because depending on what your motherboard is, that's what allows you to like upgrade later. And also, the booklet that comes with the motherboard will teach you how to put together the computer. If you don't know what you're doing, as long as you buy a motherboard, like new, that comes with everything, the actual booklet that comes with the motherboard will teach you what you need to know, because it literally will just say, like, this is where this goes, and this is where this goes, so you just plug and play everything, and then you're all set. That's what I did, basically. I built my entire computer off of just the motherboard pamphlet, because it just said, here's where the RAM goes, and I was like, this says RAM on it. This is where the GPU goes. This says GPU on the box. Basically just figured it out. Well, when I say most money, I don't mean like it's the most expensive part. I mean like splurge the most on the motherboard, you know what I mean? I hope you're not spending more on your motherboard than like everything else. But yeah, like that's the one you should spend, you should put the most into. Yeah, if you open up the side panel, you should find your files. They're just kind of floating around in the case. I remember those days, man. I remember just actually having zero idea how computers worked. hand you like a hard drive and be like, your pictures are on this, and you're like, how? It's so small. How could this fit so many pictures? How do I get the pictures off this thing? How do I print off this block? That's a lot of paper in there. Okay, yeah, so what? I am lost. So this ladder... Maybe it's... I am lost. Is this like a ruse or something? Like this part looks like the beginning of the dungeon, but it's not? Or maybe I'm supposed to go back to that first room and now there's like a teleporter or something? I don't know. I'm lost. I have a feeling that maybe I have to go back to that giant empty room and now there's like something there. But that makes no sense, because all I did was go down a ladder. I don't know how that activates something in the original room when I just went down a ladder. I didn't like press a button or anything. Don't trust random Twitch chat to pick PC parts for you. Yikes. I've done that several times. Granted, I looked into it, but... I've done that several times. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that original room, because honestly I think that's what I have to do. The other thing about motherboards is, like, if you need to upgrade and your motherboard can't do the upgrade, then you have to basically rebuild everything, which is what I just did recently. I upgraded my motherboard, but that meant I had to change pretty much everything, because it's what holds everything together. So if you can get a good motherboard, you can put worse parts into it and then later upgrade them, and all you have to do is just buy the one part and stick it in. And that's much better than, like, redoing everything. See you, Irish. Good luck, my man. I don't think the processor matters that much. I always eat my food fresh, so I don't really need to process it or anything. That's what the processor does, right? I read that on Reddit. It's gotta be true. Keeps the motherboard fresh. What's up, CJ? If I walk all the way back to this original room and it's empty, I'm gonna be, like, tilted off the face of the planet. Just saying. Hey, thanks for converting your sub, John. Appreciate it a lot, man. You also got me this tiger head emote, which is just so useful in so many different times. Like, every time I'm on a stream that I want to say, you know, I'm always thinking, like, man, if only I had a tiger head, this would, like, really up my meme game. Hey, see ya, Parrot. Thanks for hanging out, man. I don't need more RAM. I bought a Ford. I store all my romantic comedies on my ROM. Kind of reminds me, like, when I first moved out of my parents' house, there was a lot of things like that, where I was, like, shocked to learn how some things worked. The first time I realized, like, what a mortgage was, it kind of blew my mind. I always thought that houses... I mean, granted, getting a mortgage is still a hard thing, especially nowadays, it's harder. But in general, the general concept of a mortgage is that you owe like 90% of the house, and you just pay a very small percent, and you can live in it forever. And that like blew my mind. I thought for sure I'd have to buy, you know, like most loans. Like I kind of figured it would be much different than that. I figured I'd have to own much more of it. I mean, even car loans at this point. I think with the last car loan I got, I think I had to own 10%. Can't remember if it was 10% or 20. I think it was 10. But before I moved out, I figured my parents owned the house, or like very close to own the house, and just owed the bank some money. And I was like, how am I ever going to afford a house? I make $10 at Dairy Queen. There's no way I'm ever going to own a house. Then I realized, like, oh, you don't really need that much money to own a house. It's much more important to have credit than money. That's probably what changed, like, that's one of the most important things I could tell my kids, I think, or anyone that asked me, like, you know, if I were to go back in time and give myself advice about growing up or whatever, probably the biggest thing I could say is make sure your credit is good. Never screw your credit. Because holy cow, the amount of opportunities I've had because of my credit is insane. I was smart enough to get a credit card extremely early and pay it off and never be late. And get a car loan early and pay it off and never be late. That it's just opened up like every single door you could ever imagine when I was in my 20s. It's pretty crazy. Like, my wife and I were looking back at some of the stuff that we did, like some of the stuff we bought and the opportunities we had because of specifically my credit. Her credit was okay, but it was mostly like her credit was kind of non-existent, so it wasn't good or bad, which isn't what you want. You want good credit. Non-existent credit is not good. But like the opportunities we got because of my credit is crazy. Our life would be completely different if it weren't for that. That's different. There's so many different enemies here. Because of all those opportunities, and because of like how important I knew it was, I ended up getting really invested in like money and how it works. And I've been that way ever since. Now I know exactly what to do with my money. Which is why I'm able to do you know, certain things like donate 10% of everything to charity because the money that I do have, I use it wisely. I think part of, like, my frustration with some things is that I think people can use their money better regardless of how much they have, you know? I've had friends that complain about not having enough money for things, and I know for a fact that they make more money than me. But it's just I use my money wisely, so their complaints fall on deaf ears because I'm like, dude, you make way more than I do. Even back when I was in college, like... I'm sure everyone has a friend like that makes more money but complains more about it. Yeah, being thrifty is important. And unfortunately, part of being thrifty is having money in the first place. That was, you know, an issue that I struggled with a lot. It was always frustrating knowing that I could be making more money if I had more money, but I didn't have the money to buy the things in order to make the money. That's such a frustrating feeling. Yo, Star Atlas, thank you so much for the 2 gifted subs. Appreciate it a lot. Oh my god! It's a witchy boy. Back again from the depths. So yeah, that room just looked like the first room, but it wasn't the first room. So that's why I got played. Because it looked exactly like the first room, but it wasn't. Here come that boy. And yeah, you know, part of that, we've talked about this a lot in the past because my wife is a teacher, and a lot of that is just we're not teaching kids how to use money well in school. We teach them everything but that, and then they go out and blow all their money. There needs to be a lot more, like, money classes in school. I had one class that taught me money stuff, but it wasn't really money stuff. It was, here's how you write a check. And I'm like, great, what's a check? And they're like, shut up, this is how you write it. And then I wrote, like, 2 checks in my life. I've written more than that, actually, but... yeah, like, they teach you how to write checks in case you ever need to write a check, which is never. So, that was, like, the extent of it. Yeah, I've been pretty involved in, like, investments and stocks, and I own a lot of credit cards. I own way too many credit cards. Let's just put it that way. Too many. Because I take advantage of all of their benefits. I don't recommend it unless you're very, very good with that kind of thing, which I am, but I would not recommend anyone else do it, because if you screw it up, you're in trouble. But yeah, I own a lot of credit cards, and my wife thinks I'm crazy, because we go somewhere, and we'll buy something, and I'll pull out my wallet, and I have like 9 credit cards, and I pick out the exact one that makes the most money back on that transaction, and she's like, how do you remember all this? Like, I don't even remember which credit card to use. Like, I have one, I just use the one. But I have it all memorized, and I just pay whichever one will make the most on that transaction, and I have a bunch of different ones, and I have it all in my head. But I don't recommend that, like I said. You have to be able to understand all of that and pay all of them off correctly, or else you'll be in trouble. And I've had a lot of people in my life that have had credit card debt, too. it's a wonder that I even trusted credit cards because I knew like several people that ruined their life with credit cards. But I just went into it trying to understand it before jumping all the way in. Instead of just being like, oh, free money! Cool. Apparently, some people do that. Apparently, some people get a credit card and they're like, wait, I can swipe this thing and I get free stuff? I don't know how many checks I've written in my life. Probably like 50-ish. Oh wow, this is something. I used to have to write checks for my rent check when I rented. And I used to have to write checks for one of my bills at my old town that I used to live in because they were old-fashioned. And now, every once in a while I write a check when I don't have enough cash on me and I can't use a card. But that's pretty rare. I have like a couple people that I pay in cash. And sometimes I don't have time to go to the bank, especially lately. I haven't been to a bank in like forever. So, because I used to go to the bank just when I was out doing stuff, but I try not to go out too much at the moment, so I just haven't really passed by a bank in a while. Yeah, I really don't recommend, and I'm not a money expert, so take it or leave it, but I do not recommend getting a credit card if you can't pay it in full. Like, if you're going to play the APR game, I would recommend just not doing that, even if it's going to help your credit. Especially right now, with the way banks are, and everyone's hurting right now, you never know when they're just going to be like, we're going to crank the APR because we need money, and then you're screwed. So I wouldn't recommend it. If you absolutely need credit, because you're like trying to buy a house or something and you don't have the credit for it, then it's an option, but I don't recommend it. I recommend getting a credit card when you can pay off the full amount every time. And just staying away until you can. Don't play the APR game. Unless you're buying it for a specific transaction, like there's some big transaction you have to do and instead of getting a loan you get a credit card instead. That's an option. It's still not a great option, but sometimes it can be an option. If you can't find a good loan. Some loan places are like scams, so they're not always super trustworthy. Duds! How's it going, my man? Thanks so much for being here. Carrie? Is that you, Carrie? Do we know what this thing is supposed to be? Is it supposed to be something and Carrie's just a weird name? Or is it actually Carrie? I can't remember what its name was in the PS1 version. I'm almost positive it's not Carrie. Lamia. That sounds right. Lilith is like not a snake though, is she? Maybe she is. Who knows? It's Carrie. Carrie from The Office. Terminated. Hasta la vista, Carrie. Alright, my stomach is growling really loud. so I think it's time to go get food. I'll be back in a minute, though. I'll be real quick. Then we'll continue. We're just going to keep going because we're near the end, so... And I can't save anyways. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to try to push through and finish the game today. But let me go get food. I'll be back in a moment. Alright. Back at it. Let's go. I'm ready. There's another altar-looking thing over here, and I don't know what it is. Oh, thank God. I was just thinking this dungeon didn't have enough lobsters in it. But we got them. This isn't an official double day, but because we're so close to the end of the game, I'm just gonna finish it out. So... I figured this would happen. We would have certain weeks where, like, we're close enough to where a double day would be too much, but if we did it the next week, then we'd only have like an hour, and then it'd be done. So this usually happens with all of our Let's Plays. Once we get to the end, we just kind of finish it out, however long it takes. Unfortunately, I can't stay late today, so we need to complete the game in the next 3 hours, because I cannot stay late today. I have to go see my son in the NICU. So, we have to quit right at 5. So hopefully we can finish it in the next 3 hours. Channel your inner Crash Bash. That would mean I play it for weeks and get no better at it. That would mean I watch the AI cheat and never complete it. Oh, Crash Bash. Do people still want to see a Crash Bash remake? When CTR came out, everyone was like, do Crash Bash next. And I was like, why do you hate good things? I mean, Crash Bash is a fun game, but it's horribly flawed. And I don't know if a remake would really be, like, the best idea. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess if they fixed everything, it'd be fun. But really? That's the one you want out of everything? Crash Bash? I kind of miss Crash Team Racing. I kind of want to go back and play it. I don't understand what these altars are for. I guess they're just decoration. Yeah, probably. They don't actually want it. They just want to see me suffer. I mean, I guess in terms of Crash Bandicoot, there's not really much left to redo. Because everything after Crash 3 was kind of poopy. The Game Boy games were good, but I don't see any reason to remaster those. Really, the first 3 in Crash Team Racing were the stars. There's nothing left that wouldn't be worse to remake. Like, I think Nitro Kart could potentially be good if they fixed some of its issues. But, like, it's not going to be as good as Crash Team Racing anyways, so why bother? I'm unbelievably excited that they're making a Crash 4 that's actually Crash 4. Attack them with butter. See you in a bit, Nataru. If not, have a good weekend. Wrath of Cortex is non-canon. Good. I'm not sad. Then again, honestly, Wrath of Cortex, the story wasn't that bad. It was just the game that was bad. The story was fine. I mean, I don't play Crash Bandicoot for the story anyways. Cortex Booty Wiggle. I gotta go grab some real quick. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Okay. Yeah, I should probably heal. We're just kind of barely healing enough to like keep everyone healthy. Which I guess is good, because I'm low on items. I remember also when the whole Crash Bash remaster thing was going on, a lot of people were saying they should remaster Twinsanity too. And like, I understand why they said that, because Twinsanity is a funny game that had a good idea, but was awful in execution. So like, remaking it would maybe be a way to like fix it. But I disagree. If you're gonna redo Twinsanity, just redo it. Like, don't even try to remaster it or remake it. Like, just do something similar. Because that game is a lost cause. It's so bad. Like, you'd be better off just starting off fresh, you know? Rather than, like, trying to revive it. It's very much dead. It is a funny game to go back to and play, though. But it's bad. It's so bad. Hashtag Crash Bash remake for Fantathon. I don't know, guess what it means. Guess it depends on what you mean by best. Because Twinsanity is a pretty terrible game, but it's also entertaining. It's entertaining, but it's a bad game. I felt the same way about Wrath of Cortex, honestly. Because I liked it as a kid, but going back to it is rough. Come on, snakes. The fights kind of take a long time because of all this healing I'm doing, but it's necessary. I should set... If I ever play this again, I'll probably play with quicker tech speed, but I figured I might as well keep it consistent and keep it on 4, but... Especially now that I have all these like AoE items and attacks, setting that a bit higher would probably be smart. What are these? Nothing here. What about the scary tombstone looking things? That's nothing, apparently. Big Eye. How did a shark get down here? What happened here? Where'd these sharks come from? Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant were pretty terrible. Crash of the Titans was at least redeemable in certain ways, but Mind Over Mutant was really bad. But it had a part where Crash goes, pancakes! So it was worth it. Worth it just for that. Oh no. I just went backwards. Great. I'm fighting all sorts of water enemies now. Does that mean the next boss is going to be the water boss? Is that what they're trying to get at? Yeah, like I said, I recommend the Origins version. It's good. And it's not super different from this version. They just fixed up the sprites and made cutscenes and fixed up some of the code that works horrendously in this one. I think that's it. From the minds of Sharknado. Shark Dungeon. You'll never escape. Shark Dungeon. Sharknado is one of the strangest, like, phenomenons I've ever seen, ever. Oh yeah, they have item descriptions in that one too, yeah, that helps a lot. Like, when Sharknado came out, it was like a fad. Like, a million other Sharknado ripoffs came out. And, like, it just blows my mind to think that someone would see Sharknado and think, like, they could do it and be successful. Like, it's not a one-off at all, but it's like a new fad. Like, it's gonna catch on. That just blows my mind. Like, of any movie I've ever seen, I feel like Sharknado is the most obvious one-off movie ever. Does not get more one-off than that. Like, if it worked in a vacuum, and you could never do it again. But no, they were like, no, this is the new thing. It's gonna be the new fad. Like, I'm gonna rip off Sharknado and it's gonna work. Like, I remember when Jaws came out, there was a lot of, like, shark movies that tried to rip off of Jaws, and that makes sense, because, like, that's a pretty general concept that you could spin a lot of different ways, and Jaws was obviously extremely popular, so ripping that off, like, could work, at least for a quick buck. But I can't imagine the person that saw Sharknado and thought, like, we could make this into so much money. Like, that's so silly to me. They would even think that. Nah, it's just about to heal him too. People are really into these Shark Tornado movies. Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf. Yes, sign me up. See you, Cynic. Have a good weekend, dude. The beefiest movie of the century, Calnado. What kind of name is The Last Sharknado? It's about time. Lord. That had to have been the first thing they came up with. That would have been like the first name they wrote down. Oh my god, that's amazing. The last Sharknado, it's about time. Global swarming is pretty good too. At least that's like a pun. So who went and watched Birdemic after Wednesday's stream? We were talking about Birdemic on Wednesday. And a lot of people in the chat hadn't heard of it, so I posted a clip of it. And a bunch of people were like, yeah, I need to go see this. It's a classic. Truly a period piece. Alright, we can't be dying too much anymore, because I only have so many revives. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. That's what it's all about. The Fourth Awakens. Cool cat saves the kids. What about a talking cat? Question mark. No. There's no summons in this game. I don't know when summons are introduced. Bahamut's in the game, though. He's chilling. He turned us into Chads. Versus the Devil. The only movie for me is Elf Bowling the movie. So, anytime I go to watch a movie, I just watch that one again instead. How's it going, Batonic? You don't want to see it. It truly does look like we're all wearing sunglasses. Thanks, Batonic. Appreciate it. Oh my god. Oh, Kraken. Hello, Kraken. I was right. We fought a bunch of water enemies and then we got Kraken. It's honestly, like, so cool, this final dungeon, how there's, like, different sections and it has the different bosses. Like, it's such a cool concept. They had a lot of really cool ideas in this game. For it being the first game, it continues to impress me. That's why I'm, like, honestly saying it's one of my favorites already. Also, these guys seem to be buffed a bit. Like, it's not just a copy of the originals. But they're not buffed that much. Like, they're not really doing a ton of damage. They seem to mostly just have more HP, so I don't one-shot them. Holy... I sit corrected. He just had to show me what was up, I guess. You think I'm weak? I'll show you. Holy cow.